Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. Murphy's Law says anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And that's exactly what happened for the US Navy on September 15th, 1942. That's the day when North Carolina took her worst damage in the war. Before we get to that, today's video is sponsored by Rustic & Main. Rustic & Main make rings like this one that are made out of reclaimed wood. Mine is made out of teak wood reclaimed from Battleship New Jersey's deck, but they also have one that's made out of teak wood reclaimed from Battleship North Carolina's deck. Check the link in the description below for more information. Battleship North Carolina's staff have been showing us around the ship all day, and one of the most interesting stories that they've told us is about their damage they took. At that time, Battleship North Carolina and a group of destroyers were escorting the aircraft carrier Wasp during the Guadalcanal campaign. During the engagement, on that day, a Japanese submarine, I-19, was able to sneak through the destroyer screen and fire a spread of torpedoes at the aircraft carrier Wasp. This ultimately doomed the carrier and proved to be the most successful shot of the entire war. Japanese submarine doctrine called for them to attack American surface ships, whereas American submarine doctrine called for our submarines to attack Japanese merchant ships. By and large, that meant our submarines got more kills, were more successful, played a larger part in the war. But in this instance, I-19 was able to do something that I can't think of happening any other time in combat. Her single 6 torpedo spread was able to damage 3 separate ships, 2 of which sank afterwards. She had 6 forward torpedo tubes, and they were all equipped with the Type 95 torpedo, which is the submarine-carried version of the Long Lance. Has a very long, oxygen-fueled propulsion system, which allows it to go great distances without leaving a bubbled wake, so it's difficult to spot. Wasp was a relatively lightly built and slow fleet carrier, and was unable to dodge the 6 torpedo spread. 3 of the torpedoes hit Wasp, and she would sink from that damage. The 3 torpedoes that missed, some went off of the bow of the ship, and some went off of the stern of the ship, and these torpedoes continued into the American formation. Some of the American ships in the formation saw the torpedoes coming and were able to take evasive action. But the destroyer O'Brien did not see the torpedo coming, and it hit her, breaking her back. Herculean damage control efforts kept the ship afloat. However, while she was trying to return to the United States for repairs, she foundered and sank. One of the other torpedoes that missed Wasp managed to go through the American formation and hit the Battleship North Carolina. And it hit her at her weakest point, as Murphy's Law dictates. The weakest point on American fast battleships is right around turret 1. To achieve their high speed, they come to a point. On Iowa-class battleships, it's a very significant bow curve. Less so on North Carolina and the South Dakota class that have a much fuller bow, but still a deadly place to be hit. Japanese torpedoes used a larger warhead than American torpedoes, and when you're designing a ship, you assume that everybody is using the same size weapons as you, because they definitely won't be using anything smaller. But Japanese planners were able to develop their weapons in secret, and the United States had no idea how much better their torpedoes were, the Japanese torpedoes were, than their American navies. So the explosion was able to defeat the torpedo defense at the weakest point. The weakest point also corresponds to where the powder magazines for the 16-inch gun turrets were. And in this instance, after a 32-foot by 18-foot hole was blown in the bow of North Carolina, they had to subsequently flood the magazine to prevent a fire from detonating the ship. Despite all of a fast battleship's armor, a single hit like this could be considered a mission kill. And North Carolina was knocked out of combat for about a month while she sailed back to Pearl Harbor to get repairs. The effectiveness of torpedo defense somewhat relates to the design, and the American 5-layered design was pretty good, but really what makes torpedo defense effective is the depth of it. On an Iowa-class battleship, it has a depth of 22 feet in most places. And that's good for defeating the American warheads. Torpedoes are one of those weapons which battleships are most susceptible to. Particularly modern torpedoes, which can be set to run underneath of a ship and explode beneath the keel. And even though battleships like North Carolina and New Jersey have a triple bottom, that would be hard-pressed to protect the ship from an explosion underwater. The explosion creates a gas bubble, which displaces the water and hits the hull with a shock wave. That probably is going to break through the hull and create leaking. That displaced water also leaves a hole in the ocean that the ship starts to fall into, which may be enough to break her back. Then water rushes back into that hole, pushing her up, which again could be deadly. Fortunately, World War II era torpedoes just slam into the side of the ship where the torpedo defense is most effective. Ships like North Carolina have a torpedo defense that is built as an external blister over their armored belt, and this creates a weak point which could shear off. That didn't happen in this instance, but the Navy looked at the design of North Carolina's torpedo defense and made improvements for the Iowa class based on that. And one of the improvements built into the Iowa class was that the outer part of the torpedo defense formed part of the shell plate, and the armored belt wasn't until the torpedo had broken through 3 other layers of steel and void spaces, which would prevent that from shearing along a seam and opening up a big rip in the bottom of the ship. Iowa-class battleships were very fortunate and never took any significant damage in combat. We do have videos about the time New Jersey was damaged during the Korean War, which was basically a non-incident, and we've got a video about the time battleship Massachusetts was damaged. So this goes into that whole series of American fast battleships being damaged. None were sunk in combat. One feature that North Carolina has that New Jersey has lost over the years is her towing cable is still intact. This is wrapped around the base of barbette number 3. And if you come visit Battleship New Jersey, you'll see around the base there are weld marks all the way around from where something used to be. And it's this bracket that the towing cable sits on. This probably isn't to tow our own ship, because where it is here on the fantail, this is if we need to tow another capital ship. The fast battleships were designed to operate in squadrons with other fast battleships, and for Battleship New Jersey, it was usually Battleship Division 7 with her sister ship Iowa. For Battleship North Carolina, she operated variously with other North Carolina or South Dakota class battleships. Or with fast carrier task groups where you might have heavy cruisers and aircraft carriers. If one of those ships takes damage, it might be a while before an ocean-going tug can come out to the battle zone and pick them up. There may be an enemy fleet closing with you, or you may be within range of an enemy land-based airfield, so you've got to tow them out of there fast. Battleships have a massive amount of horsepower. North Carolina's engines can create 121,000 shaft horsepower, whereas Battleship New Jersey's can create 212,000 shaft horsepower, more than enough to tow another battleship if needed. But there's no tow bit back here, so you use the barbette for turret number 3. This is built into the structure of the ship, and it is very sturdy. So you keep the cable wrapped around there, you run it out a chock at the back end of the ship, and you can pass that to the other ship. I don't believe either North Carolina or WASP were towed during the I-19 attack. However, a Japanese torpedo attack launched by aircraft on the American heavy cruiser Chicago during the Battle of Rennell Island resulted in Chicago being disabled, and she was taken under tow by another cruiser for a period before another air attack finished her off. Who do you think had the most effective torpedoes during World War II? Who had the most effective torpedo defense? Let us know in the comment section down below. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State. And for this video, we were sponsored by Rustic & Main. Rustic & Main make rings like mine out of reclaimed wood. Mine has a gold band. It has teak wood reclaimed from Battleship New Jersey's deck, and the inside is made out of oak reclaimed from a whiskey barrel. These rings are comfortable to wear. They are smooth and easy to take on and off, and they're extremely robust. Working on the battleship, I slam my hand into things all the time, and there isn't even a dent on this ring after wearing it for a long time. I love mine, and best of all, it doesn't look like everybody else's ring. It's a very unique ring, and it's made out of something that's very special to me. There's a link in the description to Rustic & Main's site where you can buy rings made out of Battleship New Jersey's teakwood deck and also out of Battleship North Carolina's teakwood deck. There's also a link in the description to Battleship North Carolina's YouTube page if you'd like to support them too. Thanks for watching.